Angela screamed louder. It came from the far side of the floor, near the storage racks. Not a startled scream, not confusion, pure, tearing panic. We all turned at once. She was backing away from something on the ground, hands over her mouth, shaking her head like she couldn't process what she was seeing. I've worked the midnight shift long enough to know every sound the factory makes. 7 years of the same hours, the same machines, the same 12 people drifting through the night like ghosts trying to stay awake. You stop noticing the noise after a while. The hydraulic presses, the conveyor belts, the low electrical hum that never really goes away. It becomes background, comfort, almost. What you do notice is when something changes. That night started like any other. Clock in at 10:52 p.m. Coffee from the break room that tasted like it had been made 3 days ago. Dave already on the floor, clipboard in hand, acting like he owned the place even though he worked the same miserable shift as the rest of us. "Let's keep it moving tonight," he said as we filtered in. "We're behind on output." We always were. There were 12 of us that worked the graveyard shift, counting me and Dave. The usual crew, Angela and Mark on assembly, Luis running the forklift, Jenna and Tyler packing, a couple newer guys whose names I still mixed up sometimes. Night shift people aren't close like day shift pretends to be. You coexist. That's about it. Still, after 7 years, you recognize patterns, habits. You know who hums while they work, who disappears for smoke breaks too often, who gets quiet when something's wrong. And around midnight, something felt off. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. I remember looking up from my station and noticing how quiet everything suddenly seemed. Not silent, the machines were still running, but like the sound had dropped a layer, like something had stepped in and absorbed part of it. Then I realized someone was missing. "Hey," I called to Mark, "where's Carl?" Mark didn't even look up. Bathroom, probably. Carl took a lot of breaks. No one questioned it. I went back to work. 10 minutes later, the alarm went off. It wasn't a fire alarm. It was sharper, louder, a high-pitched pulsing tone that cut straight through your skull. Red lights started flashing along the walls. For a second, nobody moved. Then Dave's voice cut through the noise. "Lockdown. Everyone stay where you are." Lockdown. In 7 years, I'd never seen it triggered. The system was supposed to activate automatically if something serious happened, like a chemical leak or violent incident. Doors sealed, police notified. Nobody in or out until it was cleared. My stomach dropped. "What happened?" Jenna shouted. No one answered. Dave was already moving, heading toward the control panel near the main office. "Stay calm," he barked. "I'm checking it." The alarm kept screaming, and then Angela screamed louder. It came from the far side of the floor, near the storage racks. Not a startled scream, not confusion, pure, tearing panic. We all turned at once. She was backing away from something on the ground, hands over her mouth, shaking her head like she couldn't process what she was seeing. I ran over. Then I saw Carl. He was on his back between two pallets, his shirt soaked dark. There was so much of it. For a second, my brain refused to make sense of what I was looking at. It didn't connect, it just stalled. Then it hit all at once. Blood. His throat. I staggered back, nearly slipping. Someone behind me gagged. Angela was sobbing now. "He wasn't like this 5 minutes ago." Dave pushed through the group, his face pale but tight. "Everyone back up, back up." "Call 911, someone yelled. "They've already been called," Dave snapped. "That's what the lockdown is for." The alarm had timed out and shut off. No one moved. No one knew what to do, because the thought was already there, hanging in the air whether anyone said it or not. Someone here did this, and the doors were locked. We were herded into the main floor area. Dave said it was for safety, but it felt more like containment. 12 of us had walked in that night. Now there were 11. Was one of us a murderer? "Listen to me," Dave said, trying to keep control. "Police are on their way. Nobody leaves this area. Nobody goes off alone. We stay together until this is sorted out." "Sorted out?" Jenna snapped. "He's dead." "I know that," Dave shouted, louder than I'd ever heard him. Then he lowered his voice. "I know. but panicking isn't going to help. Louis shook his head, pacing. Doors are locked, right? Nobody got in or out. That's how it works, Dave said. So then it's one of us, Tyler said quietly. No one wanted to look at anyone else. I felt it then, that creeping, crawling feeling up the back of my neck, like being watched. I turned, scanning the group. Everyone looked terrified. About 15 minutes had passed when the phone system started ringing over the intercom. Dave answered, but the more he talked, the more his face showed concern. "We've had a murder in here," he shouted into the phone. "No, not an accident. The man was stabbed. Just hurry." When he hung up the phone, he told us the police were outside, but couldn't get the lockdown system to reset. They had a call into the fire and rescue team to bring torches so they could cut through the doors. "It's going to be at least a couple of hours," he said as he hung his head as if to lose hope in surviving until then. It didn't hold, keeping everyone together. It sounded good. Then reality started clawing at it. "We can't just sit here," Mark said, voice tight. "What if he does it again?" "He won't if we're all together," Dave insisted. "You don't know that," Angela whispered. She was still shaking, still staring at her hands like she could see Carl's blood on them. Tyler rubbed his face hard. "We need to find out who it is." "No," Dave said immediately. "That's not happening. We wait for the police." "And if they're too late?" Mark shot back. That landed. Dave hesitated, just for a second. But we all saw it. That crack, that doubt. And that's when things started to split. People stopped standing so close together, small gaps forming, eyes shifting, calculating. I felt it too. That growing, sickening realization that standing in a group didn't feel safe anymore. It felt exposed, like being herded. "Look," Tyler said, lowering his voice, trying to sound reasonable. "We don't go alone. We split into groups, 2 or 3 people. We check the floor, bathrooms, storage, offices. If someone's hiding, we find them." Dave shook his head. Absolutely not. But no one was listening anymore, because fear had already taken over. I don't remember deciding who to go with. One second, I was standing near the edge of the group, watching everyone argue. The next, I was with Mark and Tyler, near the darker end of the floor, away from the others, like I'd already agreed, like it had already been decided. "You good?" Mark asked me quietly. I nodded, but it felt delayed, like I was catching up to myself. "Yeah." Tyler grabbed a metal rod from a nearby station, gripping it tight. "We clear the storage side first," he said, "then the bathrooms." The alarm was silent, but the red light still pulsing. We moved slowly, every step deliberate, every shadow looked like someone hiding. The storage racks stretched up high, blocking light, creating narrow aisles that felt tighter the farther in you went. I could hear my breathing. Something shifted. A sound, like metal against concrete. Faint. We froze. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. Tyler nodded. It came again, from deeper in the racks. A slow scrape, like something being dragged. Mark's voice sounded shaky. "Someone's there." "Yeah," Tyler said. "I know." We moved toward it, slow, careful, every instinct screaming to stop, but we didn't. We reached the end of the aisle and found nothing. Empty space, stillness. The sound stopped. Tyler lowered the rod slightly. "This doesn't make any sense." That's when I noticed it. A pallet slightly out of place, just enough. "Hey," I said. "That wasn't like that before." Mark leaned in. "You sure?" "I think so." Tyler stepped closer. The pallet shifted. Tyler barely had time to react. There was a dull, wet impact. He gasped, stumbled backward. The rod clattered to the ground. "Tyler!" Mark shouted. Tyler's hands went to his side, darkness spreading across his shirt. No, stay with me." Mark grabbed him, trying to hold him up. I turned, looking for something, someone. I ran to the end of the aisle, thinking I could see them running, but there was nothing. Just the racks, the shadows, the echo of that movement already gone. As I got back, Tyler collapsed. Mark dropped with him. "Help?" he said slowly, his voice cracked. That's when I noticed the wound on Mark's head. Both Tyler and Mark lay there lifeless. When I reached the others, they knew. They could see it on my face. "Who did it?" Dave demanded. "I don't know. I didn't see. He was right there and then he just—" "You split up," Dave said, anger bleeding into his voice. "This is exactly why I said—" "Don't," I said quietly. He looked at me. Something in my tone must have landed, because he stopped. After that, nobody wanted to move, but nobody wanted to stay still either. We ended up scattered, not far, just not together. Clusters, pairs, it felt safer. It wasn't. Luis was next, just like before. Said he'd be 10 seconds. I watched him walk away, watched him disappear behind the crate. I waited. 5 seconds, 10, 15. I started toward him, slow at first, then faster, heart pounding, because I already knew, before I even saw him, he was down, on his side, eyes open, not moving, and again, that gap, that missing moment, like something had happened right in front of me, and I'd blinked through it. After Luis, people started hiding, not searching, not grouping, hiding. Angela locked herself in the bathroom. Jenna stayed near the loading dock, back against the wall, scanning everything. Dave went to the control room again. I moved between spaces. I don't remember choosing where. Just ending up there. Each place feeling unsafe. After about an hour, Jenna tried to run, said she wasn't staying, said she'd rather take her chances with the doors. I followed her. I don't know why. Maybe to stop her, maybe because I didn't want to be alone. We moved fast down the corridor, our footsteps echoing. "Jenna, wait! I'm not dying in here," she snapped. She reached the door, started hitting the panel. "Open! Open!" Her voice broke. She turned to me, eyes wide, terrified. "Steve, something's wrong." Then she jerked, like something hit her. Her body stiffened, her breath caught, and she looked down. I followed her gaze. Darkness spreading again. "No," she whispered. Then she collapsed, right in front of me. I didn't see anyone, didn't hear footsteps, nothing. Dave was last. I found him in the control room, slumped over the panel, blood across the buttons, the screen flickering, error messages looping. I stood there for a long time, just staring, trying to understand. When the police finally broke in, people running, voices shouting, hands grabbing me, pulling me back, and then, "And that's all you remember?" A voice pulled me back, quiet, controlled. I blinked. A man sat across from me, watching. "Yeah," I said slowly. "That's everything." He studied me for a moment, then asked, "Steve, are you positive that's all you remember?" Something in my chest tightened. That's when I realized it was me. I was the one they were afraid of. I was the one they were running from. I was the one they made fun of, the one they played pranks on, and I was the one who made them pay.